I knew it.
That can't be a thing. Like every podcast or every time we get in front of these cameras, that's the first thing we do is like try to screw each other over on these.
On the sync, yeah.
And that would suck. That benefits no one.
It really doesn't, yeah.
Speaking about benefits, Mandalorian is sure benefiting that Disney Plus.
More like boring.
You can't.
I can't. It's amazing.
We're sponsored
Very
by him.
good. We're sponsored, yeah. Like that one podcast.
Oh yeah, the one's like
What was it? Collider was that?
Collider,
what it was called?
yeah,
I think it's like
Collider.
we can't cover Collider content. It's like this is Collider content.
Yeah.
You're going to do it.
you're not gonna cover Collider content on Collider.
Yeah. Please go look up the Collider.
the most awkward podcast ever.
Yeah, like a guy didn't get invited. He does like Disney stuff. Didn't get invited to the opening of it's like Universe's Edge or Galaxy's Edge or something like that. Yeah, and then he got like super mad about it on air, and like the producer's just like, stop, like, what are you doing?
Every time a producer
We're funded by Disney.
Yeah, every time a producer has to step in and tell you to. Oh my God, I forgot these lights were on. Turn it off.
Wait. I also got to check my ringer, make sure it's not on.
Yeah.
Make sure my YouTube videos don't
Oh
pop
my
up
God,
while
I'm
we're
a
doing it.
failure.
I didn't want
DP.
to say it out loud. Don't test me. There we go. Hey, look at that.
I bet we look a lot darker now.
Yeah, well,
Don't
yeah.
worry.
Pop them up. Papa bless. Oh man,
I love
what a light.
I love this. We're gonna look semi-dramatic now, but that's fine.
I'm fine with it. Are you fine with it as the DP?
That's pretty crisp.
Okay. We'll have to do that every time now.
Yeah.
Like just turn the lights and turn them off. And then
Criticize my work online, please. I need more parents to criticize my work.
Oof.
No, but so okay, let's actually talk about Mandalorian.
It's out.
It's out finally. I was hyped for it, but for the wrong reason.
Really?
Yeah, because like I'm in the station not part of my life, but I'm in that era of my own life where I just don't care about Star Wars anymore. I honestly just don't care.
I'll die before I lose interest in Star
Yeah.
Wars.
And like that's fine. We have two dynamics here now. And
if I'm alive and I don't care about Star Wars, I'm dead inside. Just so
dead
you know.
inside. Okay.
If you're ever just like, hey, you want to go see Star Wars? I'm like, nah, just end it, please.
But it was one of those. I was just waiting because I heard that Bill Burr was going to be part of it, and I really like his comedy. He's a nice comic, damn it. And I was looking forward to seeing him there. I haven't seen him yet, and we've seen the first 2 episodes or chapters, I guess they're called. And what a blast! Seriously, it is so good.
We're gonna try our dangdest to not spoil for the first like probably 15 to maybe like 10 to 15 minutes of this, and then we'll go into full spoilers for the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But this will be our impressions of the first couple episodes. And the thing that I just love is when we were watching it, because a lot of people have a different perspective as like Star Wars fans versus filmmakers, and like legitimately I could see Star Wars fans being like, oh cool, that's like Tatooine or Jakku or whatever, but like
more like
Tatooine! Oh, don't do it!
whoa,
Life Day!
Jesus, are you okay?
The fart!
What did you say?
The fart!
The
You ate the
fart?
fart!
What about the Revenge of the Fifth? Huh? I need to check that. You have to make sure you didn't peek the guy. It's just going to sound like.
no, but that's alright. I'm crying.
You really
you
went full force on that one.
You went full
Sorry.
force. Sorry, it's just to me, Star Wars fans don't come across as like, oh, Tatooine.
Oh, fair enough.
How? It's more like what I
Pick up their chair, throw it at the screen.
It's more like that,
Yeah. Well, anyway. But what was I even? Yeah. That like, a regular Star Wars watcher would just be like, oh, cool, this thing, or do what you did. That, or like as filmmakers, like when we were watching it, we were just like, oh my god, that looks so beautiful. Just like a bunch of the shots where people would just be like, oh, this is him walking to a place where like, oh my god, looks so beautiful.
Yeah,
seriously,
it's
so well shot.
It's extremely well shot. I'll correct you. Beautifully well done. The thing that I'm a really huge fan of, it gives me a lot of Samurai Jack vibes.
Yeah.
Where it's
Gendry Tartakovsky or something.
Yeah, something like that. Where he also did Samurai Jack. He did the Clone Wars, the animated ones, and like I'm seeing a lot of that because how can I say this? The way everything is framed, like they really loves those long shots of just like a speck moving across the and then it shapes up top of shapes to create a full frame, and the lighting itself, it's very contrasty, where there's like almost in every shot there's a specific line, where there's like light dark, here you go, boom, and do that. I like a lot of the micro things that they do, especially in episode 2. We'll get on that. But just all that combined with a simple story so far. It's simple so far.
And it works so well for the fact that, like, I mean, for the images, just that... Like, I bring it up, so if you haven't watched, please go watch. We just released a video because we were so excited about The Mandalorian, about how it applies the Star Wars kind of mythos and genre, well, not genre, but the Star Wars ideas to the Western genre, which Star Wars has always been like that. But by the use of CinemaScope and anamorphic lenses, you get these really nice bokeh in the background. You also, I didn't mention it, you get lens flares that look beautiful. Those are an anamorphic lens artifact.
But that goes without saying.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, not for people that don't know. I mean, like, I sent the video to a friend and they were just like, I'm learning so much and I haven't even seen the episode. I'm like, okay, cool. Awesome. But that kind of thing, that all those like long lens flares, but that by using the CinemaScope that they've always done, but like since that applies well to the Western genre, like that really long, like wide angles, well, not angles, but I mean frame, that you have these long shapes that are in there. And I mean, for Westerns, they have that where you can take a second and like breathe. Star Wars doesn't get that too often.
No whatsoever.
So it helps that our character is a Mandalorian wearing a helmet, and like you have to infer what they're thinking about sometimes. Yeah. So like it's just quiet, and you're like, oh my god, this is just beautiful.
I feel like they're feeding off of, I mean, obviously from a lot of the Boba Fett back when in the old movies where he barely spoke, and like you can just there's a shot where he just does this. And like you can tell what he's thinking. They're using a lot of that, which I appreciate. Sorry, I need to think how to say stuff now.
Okay. Because for this, like, do you know what the Kuleshov effect is? Or you've heard of it, I think. Where the Kuleshov effect is when
I know what
someone stares at a thing,
and they show an image before it, and
so there's
different emotions.
Yeah. If you Google it, the Kuleshov effect, there's a really cool test where they just take the same like expression of somebody looking at something, then they put like kids playing or an ice cream cone, and you can think like, oh, he's happy because kids playing, or he's hungry because an ice cream cone, and based on whatever is next is what they're thinking about, maybe. Yeah. And since you just have this dude in a helmet, it works perfectly that whatever happens next, you immediately are just like, he's probably thinking about this, or like, this is what's implied, and it's so well executed. Oh yeah. Yeah. What were you thinking? What was going on?
I was just thinking because like the movie itself is like, it can be considered slow.
Yeah.
But the pacing on it is amazing. Yeah. Because like, how can I say, we literally just got done watching the second episode, and in my head I was like, there's no way this was an hour.
Yeah, me too. I was just like, this is, well, I think they're around 40 minutes, but still, I was just like, when they got to what you assume is the end of the episode and it starts getting there, you're just like, really? It's already, really? Yeah. Like, oh my god.
It's over so quick. And like, it's one of those shows where it leaves you wanting more, fortunately. And I haven't experienced that on a show. I mean, I don't watch TV shows whatsoever. Like, whatsoever. Oh, yeah. Unless, like, it's going to sound pretentious, but unless I deem it worth my time. Wow. You know? Okay. Because, like, I like my stories in a short format. I like movies. I like going to the movies, you know, watching a full story, and that's it. And this, due to how simplistic it is and not overly detailed everything is in it, is not overworking my tiny 8 brain to where I can continue watching this and wanting more.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I want to mention Game of Thrones where it's like the first season is like very simple, but then it gets like, oh, now you have to keep track of this, 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 and this one is so far is just like man mission.
Exactly. And yeah, like Game of Thrones, like the first episode, your brain will explode if you can't keep track of like 20 names.
Yeah.
And this one, just the fact that there's archetypes that you immediately latch onto, like, and that's why the Western genre works so well for it, because you have the gunslinger, you have like bounty hunters, you have the idea of like, you know, the sides of the law and all those things. They're working for, oh man, I just don't want to spoil things, but like there's just so many really cool things that are just you don't need to know exactly what their names are to know what their purpose is. John Wick did something similar where a lot of the characters are just archetypes, and so
it goes with their names.
Yeah, as well as it goes with their prior roles. Like Keanu Reeves, he's going to be the gunslinging badass. But a lot of the other characters, like Willem Dafoe, is like this kind of gun-toting, wisecracking guy. All that kind of stuff. That like
the vet who's been through it all, and like he's just taking it
they're
easy.
bros. And same thing for like this, where it's just you don't need to know everything about this character to actually get it and like be like, cool.
I almost want to say that. I almost want to say that you don't even need to know anything about Star Wars, because I feel like this is like separated enough where like you don't have to like, where's Skywalker? I want Skywalker. Where's Mace Windu? I want Mace Windu. You know, it's nothing like that. It's more like cool design guy doing cool things, and like I just want to. I'm getting invested on this guy because like. He's out trying to get money. What's more related? What's more relatable than people wanting money?
Yeah.
Watch Parasite.
It's so good. But legitimately, on that same note, like, except for the games, you don't get much Star Wars content that's not about the Skywalkers or the Solo and Obi-Wan Kenobi, all those people, and the Anakin and everything. It always usually is in that lineage somehow. Yeah. While this one. Next to nothing that has to do with that. It's just the setting.
Skywalker has 9 movies. Put him to rest.
Yeah, exactly.
Let him
take a nap.
Let him take a nap.
He's had a good life.
He's coming back in the 9th movie. Let him take
no
a
one's ever really gone.
Yeah, no one's ever really gone.
and do it.
And then in the echoes you hear, Annie! And you're like, what?
That would be amazing for Jar Jar Binks' Force
Use that big doodle this time! And like, I can't stop. Okay, cuss!
That was a Robot Chicken sketch. Do you see that?
Yeah.
That was so funny. He comes back to Darth Vader. He's like, Abby, oh my god. He takes off his helmet. He's like, ah! It's so good.
But keep on talking on Mandalorian. There's a lot of has this really nice a lot of movies don't do this anymore, where it's just silence.
Yeah.
And nothing but action. Although the action is minimal, it's still interesting because how it's shot and how it's framed, and the fact that there's movement still. Yeah. You know, we don't have a protagonist where the world is leading him. It's more like he's literally fighting the world while the world is trying to like fight him back.
Yeah. And that he has very clear from the beginning, very clear goals. Like within the first, I'm pretty sure it was 15 minutes, you get the fact of like what he is, what he does, who he's working with, what he's working for. Yeah, that's it. And then you get the inciting incident, why he's going on this adventure that he is. And I think on that note, we got to go into spoilers now.
Okay,
like I mean, would you recommend it? Let's give what you would recommend and why you maybe might not recommend it to people.
So I recommend it because, first of all, it goes without saying, it's beautiful. It's well budgeted. The visual effects are great. They still use a lot of I want to say practical effects,
like
which
Muppets.
Which I'm a huge fan of. There's a part where like they're in the ship and like the stars are not moving, but it still has that bokeh. Yeah. And you're like, is that just Dubatine with a whole bunch of like Christmas lights in front of it?
Is it practical?
Because we could do that, and it's like, that is so simple and that could work. And like I don't care because it looks beautiful.
We literally, like, while we were watching it, we were just like, either that's practical or some VFX guy spent a lot of time.
It's probably the most simple VFX thing ever, but the fact is it looks great. Beautiful. I think the only negatives that I perceive from people not enjoying this is The pacing.
Yeah.
Some may deem it slow, even though I feel that it's like borderline perfect on the pacing so far for the first 2 episodes.
And for what it's doing.
Yeah, and for what it's doing, and that people might be scared off because I have to know everything about Star Wars before I move into this one, when you really don't.
Yeah.
You come in, you watch this, and just you even separate yourself from Star Wars. Separate yourself, just come in, watch it, and just none of the characters from the past like 9 movies are in this so far. Let's go. Yeah. I don't have to keep track of anything else. Hell yeah, cool. Let's watch it.
Straight up, if you took away the kind of backdrop that is Star Wars, it would work as a Western movie.
Yeah.
It really would. With different things like spaceships and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Horses or whatever, trains. But legitimately, I would say very similar. I could see people not liking it because of the pacing. If you like Gendry or Gendy Tartakovsky, the guy that made Samurai Jack and Clone Wars. If you like the Clone Wars series on Cartoon Network way back when, that was just the cartoons hand drawn, you'll really like it. The one episode I remember the most was when it was a bunch of clone troopers going into a city and taking it. I would liken that to this a lot, where it's just you see you get the impression of what they're doing and how professional they are from their mannerisms, the way they carry. Exactly. I need to rewatch that after this. But yeah, I would say that if you like that, you're gonna like this, and if you like the Star Wars universe, you're really gonna like this, because it's. If you don't get it, you'll just be like, oh, that's a weird alien thing they're saying. If you do, they bring up calamari flan, which is the currency of the calamari people, which are the ones with the big squiddly heads. If you didn't know that, you wouldn't care. I just immediately heard that. I was like, oh, I get it now. And
I compared it to nobody buys silver, so they use gold.
Exactly.
That's all I compared it to.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is Japanese currency. We take Chinese. It's like that kind of thing.
And on that note, now that we brought up a little bit of a thing, let's go into spoiler time. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and smash. Okay, bye. So
can we talk about how brave it is that they brought Jar Jar Binks literally 5 minutes after?
So good.
The rule of the Mandalorian is not to have to take off his helmet, right?
Exactly.
But it was Jar Jar Binks. He's not a Mandalorian.
Yeah, so you see the silhouette of the helmet come off and his big ears flop down, and you're just like, oh, man. I can't believe it.
And then you hear the Avengers ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, and then Iron Man walks out and he's just like, we're assembling a team.
We're assembling the team.
But yeah, dude, man, it was such a pleasure watching it, just because for me, the thing that I love is that so my brother loves this stuff. I don't know too much about the Mandalorians in general, but the fact that the first episode alone, the second episode doesn't go too much into the lore for the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
But the first episode acts like you should know a little bit, and and even if you don't, you get an insight that they take orphaned children. You can see his backstory of why he was orphaned, and they have this cool culture that he says is like, do you have a signet yet, or something like that? Are you part of a family yet? And he's just like, no, I don't yet. And she's like, soon. The blacksmith kind of character, and then she says, this will help many foundlings. He's like, I was a foundling. And it's just all of that within 2 minutes, and him hitting the thing, as well as
her.
No, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Them hitting the thing, the female Mandalorian. So then, but then also the fact that later on they meet with Werner Herzog's character with the Mandalorian, and speaking how he speaks.
Oh, I love it. His accent
such a good
great,
accent.
yeah.
But also the fact that he says,
you are very expensive too.
Yeah.
When
please sit. That's
sit
so good.
down.
But the fact that he even because they use Beskar as their armor, and it's very particular metal, and he's just like, it belongs in the hand of a Mandalorian. And he's like, things should be. It's good to restore things back to their natural order in these trying times. And he's basically saying the empire might be gone, but if you help us, it won't, and we'll help you meet your goals if you help us. Kind of like Darth Vader and Boba Fett.
Kind of like what mercenaries are supposed to do, anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he has no reason not to. From what you see, he's very he's super into the Mandalorian people and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even at the end when he's like, there's that droid, and he's just like, oh no, well, are you okay? I hate droids, but are you chill? And then he's just like, yeah, I'm all right. This is cool, fine. And then they go in, and even when he's already taken care of this guy, he's way more devoted to his people than any bounty hunter. That bringing in the creature alive, you get way more money than if you didn't. And they said that there's a lot of Beskar, so he wants that Beskar. He's going to kill whoever to get his hands on it.
In the beginning, in the first episode in the beginning where he walks into that cantina or whatever, those two little jerks come up to him and they're like, is this real? And like they slice at his chest piece, and I assume the chest piece wasn't real.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because
I think the only thing was that
helmet.
after, his helmet and the shoulder piece he gets later. Pauldron he gets later. Yeah.
And is like he's not even a full Mandalorian yet. I feel.
Yeah, he doesn't have the little antenna in the signet. Yeah.
Is that like the thing?
I have no idea. I assume it is. He's the only one without it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like almost how can I say this? Yeah, it feels like he's trying to build himself up to become that thing, and
the rite of passage thing.
Yeah. And I feel they made we were just talking about this, how they made the currency in Star Wars look so appealing and like so aesthetically and like nice. It was like, here's some credits, and like boom, there's like these chips, and like here you go.
And the fact that the only Beskar you see that's like raw has the big Empire stamp on it is like, we own you, basically. It's like, it's great. It's a great little piece of prop set design that shows you.
I will admit I didn't like, how can I say this? When they were hitting the Beskar or whatever, you could tell that a lot of the talent is like not used to wearing armor and helmets and whatnot. Because they're kind of like, kind of clunky. It's not like a... I wanted like a... boom!
Yeah, slow mode and everything.
And then sparks, not just...
Yeah.
Which is like, I get it, but come on.
I assume whoever was filming that day probably has some really cool shots of that, but they couldn't use them in the edit. Like, they were like, we just need regular whatever.
I guess so, yeah.
Maybe. I could say that, but...
Yeah.
Man, it's so great, the fact that, like, he's just looking, and then you have these flashes to his backstory, and you immediately get it within... like 30 seconds.
And like he's not holding it over anyone's head.
Yeah.
Like not even in the audience. It's technically it's been almost, I want to say, an hour and 20 minutes like between these two episodes since that happened, and if they never bring it back, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
But the fact is, like, they introduced it and we see a little bit of why they showed us that, because further in the episode we learned that like, this is a very high bounty to the point where like he doesn't, there's not even a puck trade, where like they trade a puck and it carries the, this is what he looks like and here's where he's at, get him. There's not even that. It's like, it's so lucrative and so like secretive that we only have his age and the last time we saw him, and here you go. And it's like, oh, well, better go get this thing.
Yeah.
And
the spoilers.
I mean, we already warned him.
It's a little Yoda.
It's a little Yoda.
It's so good. Like, if you don't know what that is, it's fine.
Yeah.
You just see, like, oh, it says 50.
Yoda is such an icon that there's no, like, the shape of the head and the green, you're immediately like, oh, little Yoda. I like little Yoda.
In the second episode... In the second episode, it's such a perfect Jim Henson like puppet that he's like going around eating frogs.
Beautiful.
It's so cute.
It reminds me of a little Yagwai from the Gremlins.
He basically, oh my god, he's a little green gremlin.
In the finale, in the ending of the first episode, the little robot is like, well, I'm getting paid either way, or like money is being transaction is gonna.
They told me dead.
They told me dead. It's like, no, they told me alive, and like he kills the robot. But it can mean two things, It's like, he did it for the money, but he also was, a little thing that had nothing, taken
and this
from
is
his
a
parents.
robot,
Taken from his parents. It's like, I do that. And,
I didn't think about that.
I that's what I felt from it.
Yeah.
It was like, he was an orphan too. And like they killed everybody and they took him.
It's
like, I wonder what this baby that's 50 years old going through.
I didn't think about that, because the main thing I thought is like, this is a droid. I don't already like droids. And not only the money, but also this is a living thing. Like I care more about it. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
To me,
that's genius.
That's how I felt. Then like it really connected when they almost had the god,
Oh, so good. That, and then like going into the second episode, that like, I just love how there's a train heist scene almost. Like, I was going to say that.
Yeah, it's very train heisty.
Yeah. On the moving fortress, they called it.
But we have to talk about more about in the first episode where they literally wrangle a horse.
They do. Yeah, he's on a ranch. Yeah, straight up.
On a ranch, this little alien dude, he's like, So at first he's like, I'll help you, but I'll take half. It's like, that's a little steep, don't you think? It's like, no, of the two little, those two gross piranha monsters we just
these big
captured.
pimple monsters.
It's like, you can have both.
Yeah, get them out of here. I don't want them. One blew up my arm. Like, leave them alone. Yeah.
It's like,
but I just love the fact that, like, and another thing that I like about the show is that it actually gives you those moments. Like, he's like, calamari flan. He's like, what is that? You Google it and you're like, oh, there's like a calamari people. This is cool. And a bunch of them are in the movies. But also the fact that, like, when he's just like, you used to ride the big mythosaur. What's wrong with you? You're a Mandalorian, right? Yeah. He's just like, okay. And then he goes and does his thing. In my mind, it was kind of hokey that he, like, immediately is good at it. Like, when he just goes over.
Yeah, I felt that too. Yeah. Where, like, oh, you have to approach it with kindness. Type thing.
But at the same time, like, you know, I get it for the plot.
Yeah.
But just the fact that, like, it made me Google a mythosaur, and there's this big dragon. Yeah, there's this big old dragon thing, and the only image I could find online is a Mandalorian, this tiny itty bitty Mandalorian, on this big old dragon, and he has two swords, like, ready for battle. It's just awesome.
Reminds me of that. There's this image of, like, this I think it's a Warhammer 40k picture where, like, there's this general on this giant tank and he has a sword and he's like, bring me closer, I want to hit him with my sword. And he's like trying to swing, but like clearly he can't reach.
Yeah, unless they're like on the tank.
The tank is so massive.
Yeah.
And
which, by the way, the mythosaur is actually the it's that skull that their sigil for the Mandalorians. Cool. That's right above the blacksmith's thing.
Dope.
So yeah.
Dope. And like that's the thing though. I honestly don't even think you need to know what a mythosaur is. It's all about how he said it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you guys used to ride the blanks, and like come on, this little thing is nothing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like I said, you can approach this without knowing anything about Star Wars. You can just look at it as a space western, and that's it.
It's great.
And so he rides this thing into this little bunker, secret little bunker, and he kills a whole bunch of baddies.
In the coolest, it's just so cool. And as well as like showing the other bounty hunters in the show, like they have the droid come in and his arms are flipping around and it's such an awesome sequence. But then also the next episode, you find that like he's walking around, he has the bounty with him, and then like another person fights and comes down and tries to kill him. You find, he has a little bounty fob thing. He's on the same
he was
thing.
in the bounty union or whatever.
Like the guild, they say.
Yeah, the guild. Before that, what I meant by like previously before about macro or micro
moments,
micro moments is like, so that's happening, right? And you just see him, he's walking, and it's like, it's a nice wide, he's like checking this place out, and like you just see a shadow move. He's like, and you just
That's so cool.
And then as he's turned right here on his helmet, you see something hopping over something,
like the
through
reflection.
The reflection, and he's like, ooh, and they do it again, and it's like,
and then it like readies
stuff that you really don't even have to be paying that much attention. Is just movement, and it's like, ooh,
it's so beautiful.
I love it so much. God. And then he just
yeah. And I mean, in the like, you know, heroic journey sense, like it's also cool because they show that he's not just the cool guy. Like he can get hurt. He gets like sliced real bad.
Hurt,
and then he also later on just like, you're just like, oh cool, he's gonna tame whatever beast. You can tell he's really apparently not good with animals. The fact that the first animal, the first horse, whatever weird hump thing that's like a camel hump ran away, is like he can't ride it. And then also this other beast comes out. He doesn't want to deal with it really, or he's trying to deal with it, very bad at it. And that he just gets destroyed. He would die. Like he legitimately was very, very bad at it. All of his armor gets knocked off, almost all of it. Yeah.
There's two instances involving two different type of animals where if he didn't get help, he would have been dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that like this guy isn't invincible.
Yeah.
Like Mandalorians are like badass and they're like the coolest bounty hunters and / coolest hunters ever and whatnot, but this one is not that just yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. We're going through his journey to build himself up to that, and it's like, yes.
And especially that, like, it's so cool the fact that like as he's going on and you notice that he's like not the best and he's building up. In my mind, this is what I wanted from. I mean, I liked Solo a lot, legitimately. I did really enjoy it, but that's what I think people wanted to see from Solo, was him actually growing and not him just being the smarmy guy the whole time. This is like an origin story. This could turn out to be, you know, Boba Fett's son or whatever, whoever, like someone in the plot. And this character development is just really great because you don't know who this guy is, but it's immediately getting you interested. While the other ones are like, you know who this guy is, so we can do whatever we want, more or less, and you'll watch it, which is fine.
Yeah, it didn't feel
Jon
like
Favreau, you're a good writer. I'm looking at you.
watch Chef.
Watch. I'm a meme.
I'm a meme. But
So good.
the what was gonna go on? Yeah, like in Solo, we saw young Han Solo being a young Han Solo.
Yeah, literally just the age filter down.
Yeah, exactly. To me, what I feel with this guy is a more unexperienced John Wick.
Yeah.
Where like, yeah, he's good at what he does, and he's very expensive for many reasons, but he's not invincible yet. And if they approached this show and said like, yeah, let's just make him invincible already, is like, it'd be boring. Yeah, it looks beautiful and all great, awesome, but like, he's like too perfect. You made a Superman, and Superman is just boring and gross.
Though, I mean, I honestly would love to just watch that. Like, just that.
I couldn't. I'd be bored so fast.
I would just be waiting for the next set piece. Like, I'm not that kind of guy. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that goes and watches a Fast and the Furious movie for explosions.
Yeah.
I like, an arc. But this kind of thing is just, it takes me back so much because we both, like, kind of grew up with the prequels and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, the best part of that was the clones and those, like, their military tactics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That this is more of that with one person. So I'm into it.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
It's there's and how can I say this? They're introducing so many stuff in this where, again, you don't need any explanation.
Yeah.
If you just look at it like any normal movie where like a person tries, like I'm trying to get to the part where he's trying to trade with the Jawas or whatever.
Yeah, Jawas.
And these Jawas literally hours ago took apart his ship and like stole his parts.
Yeah, he's only got one thing to his name, really, and it's his armor and his ship.
And like clearly
his gun.
He's not like experienced with like negotiating. It's more
he
like
incinerated a bunch of them. It's great.
Either my
no
way,
incineration. It's awesome.
It's either my way or the highway with him. It's like now I have to talk to these little things. Okay.
And the fact that like we won his armor is just like, I'm a Mandalorian. It's my armor. Like he's not ever given anything to anybody.
No, they didn't want his armor. They wanted
his armor. Like first off, he's like, we want the Beskar, and he's just like, he's a Mandalorian. He doesn't give up his Beskar.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
No.
Then they want the egg.
Yeah, they wanted him to put away his weapon. It's like my religion.
Oh yeah. I'm a Mandalorian. That's my religion.
This is my religion. Like this is my gun. You know. When they said egg,
I didn't get the egg.
You get the egg.
I just had to.
When they said egg, I was like, oh, they want the little pod that the little Yoda is in.
Same, yeah.
But like, no, they want an egg from an actual giant, gross creature.
Yeah, which they don't name.
Giant rhino.
Yeah.
No, it's a giant, scary rhino. I'd be scared of facing a normal rhino. Like, get out of here. You know. There's a really cool part where he's getting his ass whooped, and he just has like his tiny little pocket knife or whatever. Yeah. And he just holds it up and just. Whatever happens next happens.
Yeah, it's like a death ceremony kind of thing. It's crazy.
And then the little Yoda lifts the giant rhino up, and he goes like, "Oh." So here's another bit that bugged me.
Okay.
As a man who doesn't have enough experience with creatures, clearly, how does he know where to stab this thing exactly to kill it immediately?
Yeah.
You know, he just goes, and the thing goes, oh, and like literally.
Yeah. I don't know if it was meant to, like, it could have maybe still been alive. I don't know. Maybe they showed that it was straight up dead in the episode. I don't remember.
That thing was like,
fair enough.
That thing was dead, dude.
The fact that, yeah, I don't know. That does bug me a little bit, but I would give that a pass for the same Gendry Tartakovsky kind of thing, where it's just like, these are vignettes of this cool story, and we're just clipping each one off as they go along. So like, he's on the train ride and then he gets knocked off. So how is he going to fix it? He goes to this mentor figure. Now he has to go
just
negotiate.
Keep the plot moving. Just keep it moving, guys. Yeah,
which they really do. That's why like I was so surprised that the episode was over. Like when they're getting back to his ship at the end of episode 2, I'm just like, I want more. Give me more.
Yeah, give me more.
And then they play the music like while he's flying away, and then it goes to the little like piano riff as like the little baby Yoda's waking up, and it's just so well executed. Like
Baby Yoda is like the cutest thing right now.
Oh my, yeah, dude.
He's awesome.
I'd feed him a bunch of frogs. You kidding me?
Oh, yeah, he just straight up grabs this frog and swallows it.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
Like it's very good.
Yeah.
I never thought going into the Mandalorian show, I would be like, man, I want a plush of Baby Yoda, or I want a plush from this series, you know?
Yeah.
But it's legitimately really cool, like really adorable.
Yeah, and they could have easily CGI this little monstrosity, but they kept it simple. They were like, we're gonna make 2 models. We're gonna make the stroller model, and we're just gonna make the little model that walks, and that's it.
Which, like, that must have been so hard to keep that like stroller completely level, like at all times while filming. Oh my god, I can't imagine.
I like to imagine a Steadicam operator just holding on to it with a Steadicam rig covered in green just to maneuver this place. Because like the terrain was rough, but like this egg was like floating perfectly. Yeah, and like I love that.
God, that's so good.
The action in it, well done.
So good.
There's just too much good so far.
Really?
And I don't want to be that guy, but I feel like we can't properly judge this series until it's over.
Definitely.
We can talk about every single episode. I don't know if you guys want that, but
I'd love to. It'd be fun.
Yeah, it's just I'm not a fan of judging things, especially TV shows, as little as I see.
Yeah.
Until I see them all the way through. Kind of like how you would do a movie, because that's just a complete arc right there. You know, and
especially since it's only 8 chapters, it's meant to be very self-contained.
Yeah. It's kind of like how can I say this? Like the old Samurai Jack and the new Samurai Jack, where like the final season was literally like 13 episodes or so.
Yep.
And a lot of like animes and whatnot are showing up, and they're like, yeah, this is just 12 episodes for this entire thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Death Parade. I don't know if you've seen it. Very sad.
Okay.
Very sad.
I mean, with a name like that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a very cool show.
Yeah.
And 12 to 13 episodes. Here you go. Bye.
Cool.
And they're just keeping it nice and contained.
Sure, fair enough.
Is it time?
We might need a cut. It's been 37 minutes. I don't know if these are still rolling. I just realized. Let's go check. Did it stop?
It stopped.
Dang it. We need to see when they stop.
Hey guys. Sorry about that. Our two Sony A7 IIIs that cost $2,000 each.
With a bunch of great lenses on them.
With cool lenses and everything. Cut after 30 minutes of 1080p recording.
Like, Sony, I love you, but come on. We just wanted to talk about Star Wars. That's all we wanted to do.
Clearly, Sony doesn't want us to.
They really don't.
They really don't want us to. So I think we're going to have to cut the episode short. Short, a good old 40 minutes.
Yeah, oh well. But I mean, like you said, we definitely can't judge this on the 2 episodes. But I'm a fan of celebrating, what we get at the time, and like, it really just like at watching them so far, just for the filmmaking alone, is really great. And I think that I assume there has to be an arc, like for 8 episodes, a self-contained thing. So I'm looking forward to the rest of them. Still a little cautious, but honestly, I'm really enjoying it so far, and just the idea of it that like
3 things that you don't want to happen.
3 things I don't want to happen. I don't want I don't want the very ending to just kind of be like this, let's take on the big bad guys, let's all take on the Empire kind of thing, let's all join the rebellion kind of thing. 2, I don't want to really shoehorned in love interest where like that becomes a big part of his arc is about this love interest. And I also don't want, I guess something, I don't know, like the last one might be hard to think about, but like I guess I just don't want something absolutely insane to happen. That's like, I'm fine with like cool stuff happening, like the part where the little Yoda thing picked up the rhino was like, in my mind I'm just like, this is kind of silly, like are all of the people of this race like that in tune with the Force? Exactly. But at the same time, I was just like, this works. So for my last thing, I'd say those 2 would really mess it up a lot for me. I'm okay with a love interest, just not that like that becomes the driving force behind our character.
Exactly.
But ultimately,
I don't want him to ever take off his mask.
Yep.
I don't want I don't want Baby Yoda to be in this thing forever.
Yeah.
Personally.
To be his best friend.
Yeah, I don't want that. And I don't want it to go for 50 million seasons, I guess.
Yeah, for them to renew it for 80 million seasons.
I don't want that.
I would really just like other stories, you know?
Yeah, the thing that I would want is like, yeah, everybody, let's go, we're gonna fight the blah, blah, blah. Like, we're the rebellion, we're gonna do this, whatever. And him saying, you guys go ahead. I'm not.
Yeah, later. Yeah. Well, especially, I would have really loved if like Rogue One was like this. Like the movie is honestly fine.
Good.
And oof, that's a big oof. Can we get some F's in the chat? Can we drop a couple F's in the drop a couple of F's in the chat? Drop a couple of Baby Yodas in the chat. Actually, don't. This is a spoiler. But
don't drop Baby Yodas.
Don't drop Baby Yodas. But yeah, don't drop him. He's a nice little boy. But that like, if Rogue One was like this, it would have been. You could do a little bit more. Yeah. Where like it's actually like an espionage thing where they have to go be spies. They have to go like actually change costume and blend in and stuff like that. Well, what it was a war movie where like not really Saving Private Ryan, but you know, like they're going in and they're fighting and like it's basically a suicide mission for the greater good, you know, versus like, cool, we're spies. We are rebel spies. I'm going to go do rebel spy stuff. So stuff like that. I would really love those little vignette pieces. And especially if they don't particularly have too much to do with that main plot with like Luke, Leia, and everybody, I'm for it.
True. Yeah. On that note, who shot first, dude?
It was me!
Oh no! McClunky! Did you see that? You haven't seen it yet? The new version with McClunky? I'm not gonna die. Guido's dead. Greedo's not dead. He didn't... By not shooting first, he lives in our hearts. You can't kill me. I'm in your brain, dude. I'm in your brain. I ain't real. This is all fake. I'm a CGI element, like Yoda. Not this Yoda. The one in the prequels.
Well, on that note, thank you guys for joining us. And guess see you in the next one. We have a couple of episodes that we pre-recorded. We're going to be releasing those, right? Yeah. Well, yeah, true. Well, all right, guys. See you in the next one, okay? Ooh. I'll shoot you next.